Hello everyone and welcome to Full Circle Lithium's live event hosted by Six. I'm pleased to introduce their speaker for today, CEO and Director Carlos Vicens. He will walk us through a presentation and after that we'll be accepting questions. You can submit your questions in the chat at any point during the presentation. As always, the summit is being recorded and will be available on six.com to watch afterwards. So without further ado, I'll hand things over to you, Carlos, to kick things off. So feel free to share your screen and we can get started here.
Great. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody, and thanks for joining us here to tell you a little bit about Full Circle Lithium and a summary of what we've been doing over the last, I would say, 6 months to a year. So again, my name is Carlos Vicens. I'm the CEO, Director, and Founder of Full Circle Lithium. I just want to give a little bit brief overview of the team, or at least the key important people here. I've been in the capital markets for about 25 years now, as well as investment banking here in Canada. I've been involved in lithium since 2007, where we raised money for the likes of Lithium Americas and other companies within the TSX market and the lithium TSX market. And then I joined Neo Lithium in 2015, 2016, where we took that company public for roughly $60 million Canadian, and then sold it last year for about $1 billion Canadian. So good win for the team there. So that's me as an overview. Tom Curran, our CEO and also founder, has over 40 years of lithium chemical experience. He's worked in DuPont and Livent, two key companies in the lithium space here in the US or in North America. He has worked for all the federal labs that you can imagine. He's one of the key persons that we have in the company, and one of the original lithium experts back in the 80s, 90s here in North America. Paul Fornazzari, our executive chairman, he works as a lawyer at a global law company here in Canada called Faskins. He has also been founder of several lithium stories, including Lithium Americas, Neo Lithium with me as well, and this one now, Full Circle Lithium. So significant experience both in the capital markets as well as the operational expertise. And these are just the top three. We obviously have a team that we share here that works directly in Georgia as well as in California, helping us move the project forward. So to tell you a little about Full Circle in terms of how we see ourselves, we got 4 pillars. If you have a table, we got these 4 legs of the stool, as we call them. We have U.S.-based operations, obviously a significant place to work, as well as a fully operational plant in the state of Georgia in the U.S., very close to the state of Florida. This plant is fully permitted and was a past producer. We also have proven processing and a green footprint, meaning that we have a diversified feedstock portfolio. This is not a science experiment. The majority, if not all, of the products that we're currently developing and moving forward have been already tested, both on lab and now operationally at the client site. So we understand well what we're trying to do and how we're trying to approach it. In fact, we've already installed a modular processing plant at a client site, and we're starting larger demonstrations of all of our businesses. And we have a patent portfolio as well as a new product on the fire suppressant solution as well that is patent pending. In terms of the market dynamics, these are obviously very good on the green market and the mobility. For lithium-ion batteries, this industry is expected to grow significantly over the next few years, and we're right in the middle of it. The government of Georgia is expected to spend anywhere between $10 and $20 billion of money within just the state of Georgia, and that's just in the state. But regionally, over $40 billion is going to be spent and invested. So we're sitting right in the middle of that, and we all hopefully expect to be a player within that market and grab some of that market share. And in terms of the team, like I mentioned before, over 70 years of combined lithium operational experience as well as capital markets, which is important. You not only need to have the operational, the capital markets, but a combination of both. And we have very good support from the state of Georgia, as I mentioned, in terms of the investments and the way they're supporting us within the community as well as statewide. Now, in this next slide, blank for now, I'm going to explain how our business works over the next, just a bit more graphically for you to understand how we're going about building our business. So we separate our business in downstream and upstream. On the downstream side, as you can see in that green factory there, that's our lithium processing plant in the state of Georgia. That's a permitted former producer. It was producing in the late 2010, 2011. It was mothballed in 2012 for the lithium pricing at the time. And now we brought it up to speed, refurbished it, and is now currently ready to produce. It has a capacity of around 2,000 tons of lithium carbonate equivalent per year. But just with the infrastructure that we have, that can get expanded fivefold, meaning it could go up to about 10,000. And just to give you an idea what that means, what is 2,000 tons? On a revenue-only basis, that doesn't mean gross margins or anything. 2,000 tons at, let's say, 20, 25,000 or 30,000, what the price of lithium carbonate is on a per ton basis, that it goes anywhere between 40 and 60 million a year of revenue on the current capacity that we have. That doesn't mean that we're going to produce that revenue over the very short term, but that's the capacity of the plant today. Now, we have that plant, but we need to feed that plant in order to make money. And what are the three diversified business downstream businesses that we are developing? The first one is our feedstock recycling or midstream recycling. That entails us going into industrial and chemical companies that utilize lithium in any form, that have a stream with a waste that contains lithium. And then we go there, we installed a lithium extraction plant, or what other people call a DLE, or direct lithium extraction. And we extract the lithium within the solution, and we can do two things at that point. If the client needs the lithium back in their processing, we can sell it back to them, meaning that we don't have to ship any of the product outside of their facility. Remember, we build this plant at their facility. If the client does not need it or doesn't need all of it, we can ship it to our plant in the state of Georgia and then produce lithium carbonate or other products that we can then sell to the market. That's the first line of product. The next one is the lithium ion battery recycling. As the name entails, this is where we recycle lithium ion batteries, and we do all of that process within our plant in Georgia. We are establishing certain partnerships, hopefully over the next little while, in order to, I would say, logistically try to grab all the batteries that are regionally accessible to us as well as nationwide. So those are some of the things that we're working for. But within that lithium ion battery, there's also a fire suppressant solution that we'll explain later. On the third upstream feedstock business that we have, we call the lithium refinery. This is where we go and apply our direct lithium extraction technology, or our lithium extraction processing knowledge, and we go to mines and or upstream mining assets that need some help in the refining and or processing of the lithium from raw form into a final product that can get sold into the market. All three are very different in terms of capital exposure, risk associated, and margins. But definitely all three would go a long way in terms of developing our company into what we call a robust, a diversified revenue business that we're able to, I would say, manage ourselves within the environment that we're currently in. So if, for example, the lithium batteries are not there, we can focus more on the midstream recycling or the lithium refinery, or hence, we can change businesses and have a more diversified way of looking at it. The majority of our competitors are just focused on one or potentially two. None of them are focused on all three. So Within that, let me go into the next slide and show you a little bit more pictures in terms of what we're trying to do in our operations. Like I mentioned to you, here are some pictures to the right where you can see the entrance to our plant. The middle picture there gives you a sense of what a lithium extraction plant is. That is what was installed in our first client, and it's currently, we've currently put out a press release that our first demo processing plant has proven to recover 99% of all lithium within the waste stream. That's the type of facility that it is, that we're installing now. Granted, it has changed a little bit to that, but this is a small, I would say, demo plant. Without the tanks on both sides, this demo plant is around 20 by 20 feet. So this is high, and the way we build it, we built it scalable. So this demo plant today, the capacity has about 250 tons per annum. The client needs anywhere between 500 and 1,000 as they grow. So in order for us to expand this plant, it's quite easy. It's not that we need to take it out and then ship another one much larger. This is something that it's easily scalable. And that's how we plan to build these lithium extraction plants. And on the bottom, you see some of the batteries that we're currently sourcing, and we now have about 5,000 gallons of solution that we will most likely start processing in our lithium carbonate plant over the year end into next year in order to start producing lithium carbonate and then selling to the market. Here, I have not talked too much about our fire suppressant solution, but it's within the lithium ion battery recycling. I'll explain a little bit more of that over the next few slides. More pictures here for you to get a sense of what the plant looks like. You see the drawing on the top left where you see how we've expanded some of the process building, as well as the lab addition and office and so forth, and the parking and the tractor trailer parking area. The bottom two left pictures, you see the office as well as the plant. And then on the right, you'll see some of the past lithium carbonate production that was done at the plant on those super sacks there. Each of those sacks is about a ton of lithium carbonate. So we have about 4 tons of lithium carbonate there. But the video that I'm about to show you is our filter press that's coming out of some of the tests that we're doing on our filter press and lithium carbonate. That is lithium carbonate that has obviously some moisture on it, but that after that's moisture, it gets put in a hopper and then into a dryer that you see here. And that dryer then obviously, after it's dried, of course, that's when you put into super sacks and then sold to the market. The bottom right picture gives you a sense of how big that 2,000 ton per annum lithium carbonate plant looks like. Again, our way of building anything that we're trying to do, it has to be scalable as well as modular. We don't want to build a large plant and or facility that is underutilized and put a lot of capital work before we have enough feedstock to operate it. So this plant right here is for 2,000 tons. All that is missing, and you can't see it to the right, would be the dryer, but it gives you a sense of sizing. There again, we can fit within that building an expansion of up to 10,000 tons or 5x what we currently have. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the two, I would say, most exciting business. It doesn't mean that's the business that we're only focusing on, but two exciting parts of the business that we put out some press releases to the market. The first one is the midstream feedstock recycling business. This is the one that we focus on chemical and manufacturing companies and have waste material that contains lithium. We've put out quite a bit of news releases here, and we're excited about this business because this is the business that's going to provide us, we believe, our first revenue and cash flow to the company. In fact, we envision, subject to final agreement with the client and I would say, definitive agreement with them, is that we'll start generating revenue Q1 of next year, which is pretty, I would say, important for us as well as, you don't see many companies that go public and are already generating revenue within the lithium space in less than a year. So all our team is focused on that, specifically on this first client. And you can see some of the pictures here when we ship that processing plant to the client site. Again, that has changed a little bit in terms of how we're working with some of the recovery and impurities. For example, we've put out some pre-cleaning or pre-filtration systems before the lithium extraction or DLE processing plant, and then once we recover the lithium, we've also put additional filtration systems to meet all the impurity targets for the final product to the client. The latest press release that we put out last week was that we're now extracting over 99% of all the lithium within solution, which is something that is very, very difficult to do. So obviously our technology works very well within the client's is working very well within the client's premises. And not only that, which is important to extract the lithium, we've been able to meet the impurity targets that were very strict. Unfortunately, we can't really talk too much in detail in terms of those impurities and what the level is because of NDA agreements with the client. But suffice to say, we're on the right track. So that's on the midstream recycling business. Again, what we're trying to do there next is now ramp I would say the capacity of that demo plant to a more of up to 200 to 250 tons per annum on a full run rate basis. And once we do that and process about 20 or 30,000 gallons for the client of lithium chloride, then we'll be well on our way to signing that final agreement, building the final modular commercial production plant, and producing our first revenue early next year. So that's exciting for all of us, and we're focused 100% on that one. Now, the next one that we put out some press releases on, and we're very excited about, is what we call our fire suppressant solution, which we believe is going to be a potential game changer within the lithium-ion battery world. As you know, we did not come out when we went public. This was not one of the products that we were essentially focusing on because we didn't even know we had it. And let me explain how that worked. So when we started receiving lithium-ion batteries, we believed that the best way to disassemble the batteries was doing it on a fully charged basis. And I can't go too much in detail there. There's a lot of IP surrounding why we believe that's the best case in order to recover the majority of the lithium within the cells. But some of these videos are going to give you a better idea of what we're trying to do. So the first one is just a lithium-ion battery cell. When you open these cells, as you can see, it catches on fire. This is a fully charged cell, and you can see how it catches fire there in the video. And that's just all the chemicals reacting with the air, the oxygen. So you can say, so essentially, if you don't take that battery apart in a solution that is safe, it will catch on fire. So knowing that, we've created a solution, and you can see on the second video where once you open the lithium-ion battery cell, there is absolutely no reaction. You can see the reactions there within the liquid, but there is no fire. So you can see all the hydrogen release and all that. And I'm going to just, not talk too much here, but as you can see, there's absolutely zero reaction in terms of fire or potential hazardous fumes within the environment. Right now, of course, this was done a while back manually, but you also have to do this manually to understand what's happening. There are certain automation that we're working on right now in order to automate some of these processes that were not fully finalized, but we've done over 500 of these demonstrations, in fact, now more, without incidents, quite quickly and cost effectively. So we believe that this process will be I would say, optimal for what we're trying to accomplish. And this last one here is how we take all the batteries apart. You can see how, we take some of the separators, which is that white film that you see there. And then you see the aluminum and the copper sheets coming out, and all the other, I would say, cathode / anode parts of the battery also coming out, those black spots that you see there on the liquid. But the important thing here is the safety of that liquid. And once we saw this, we decided no, we obviously said, well, there has to be another type of use for this liquid, which is fires that are happening currently in the lithium-ion battery industry. Now, what are those fires? Well, these are some of them. I mean, there's not to be alarmist by any stretch of the imagination. Not all batteries are going to catch on fire, of course, and not all cars, but there are certain fires. And the MO, or modus operandus, of the majority of the first responders is to let it burn, or to throw quite a bit of water. When I'm talking quite a bit of water, when a car starts burning, this is over 20,000 gallons of water with just to one car, or 2,000 gallons of water in 2 cars. And that's just simply not a solution. And then after you do that, you let it sit there for 2 to 3 weeks to see if it starts burning again. So not only do you have to put the fire out, but you have to keep it out. And our fire suppression solution does just that. So what are we doing right now with the FSS is that we're going to a third-party testing. We've done some testing within our facility. We believe it does work, but you need to have some credible third-party facility validate those results that we've done internally. So the first test that we've done, as you can see, some cylinder batteries there. These are a bit bigger than the AA batteries, so not enormous batteries. These are not large set batteries, but it gives you an idea of what we're trying to do. This is the first test. The second test, and I'll show you the video of that test. The second test will be for scooters and or e-bikes, and then the third test, hopefully, will be with an EV battery or car, and that most likely happen over the next, hopefully, few weeks. We're waiting on a timetable from that same third-party facility. So here's the test that we've done. So as you can see, we put the batteries on fire, a controlled fire, and these are all those cables that are surrounding are measuring heat. The heat that these batteries have right now is over 1,000 centigrades of heat that they have, and you can see how it's a chain reaction. Once one burns, then it catches another one, then another one. And you can see how they catch. And right now, as you saw there, that's our solution that sprayed the batteries and took the fire out, and basically less than a quart of, or less than half a liter, around a half a liter of solution. Not only did it put the fire out, but it lowered the temperature from over 1,000 to 40 degrees centigrade, which is what you need to stop the fire from burning again. So it's a chemical reaction, and it's not just water. It is a diluted. It's a solution that contains water, but it has other chemicals within that solution that has some of that chemical reaction that helps the fire not only put the fire out with the water, but also keep it out with the chemical reaction. So that tells you a bit about what we're trying to accomplish there. And this is a little bit of what our story was in terms of where we were and where we are, and where we want to be. This plant has been operating since the mid-90s. About $5 million of investment have gone in it. Last year, we've raised 5 million Canadian privately to refurbish the battery and the facilities to be ready to start to develop some of these products that I've just talked to you about. We went public in May and raised an additional 10 million in order to develop those product lines and be in commercial production with no additional funds by hopefully Q1 of next year on the recycling business, which is the midstream feedstock recycling, potentially the lib recycling. And we're continuing to focus on business development to create even more client base. Not only that, we created an additional business opportunity with the fire suppressant solution, which was not, I would say, was a happy coincidence that we've created it, but it was not in our original plan. So depending on how we are going to develop that product, which most likely will be with a partner or some sort of partnership as going forward, once we de-risk some of these tests that we're working through, that would alleviate some of the capital constraints that we may have to develop that and going public. But that's where we are right now. We are going to be ready to start providing some of that news releases, both on the fire suppressant solution and also on the midstream recycling over the next few months. So stay tuned for that. In terms of the capital structure, quite easy. We have about 68 million shares outstanding today, fully diluted about 82 million. Our share price, this was as of October 24th last week, about 66 cents. I remind everybody that we went public at 70 cents. We are down a little bit, but you know, the market has been down since we went public over 50% in our line of business. So we've been somewhat we've done well in comparison to others. That doesn't mean that we're happy with where we are. That doesn't mean that I'm happy where we are. And hopefully going forward with some of the news releases that we're going to have would be much higher than that. So we're working hard to make sure that our share price not only maintains but also goes up. Our market cap today is about 45 million Canadian. We have about 6 million Canadian today in the bank, which again is sufficient for us to start our the revenue generation in Q1 of next year. And depending on growth profiles of the different product lines, we'll see where we go from there. But we don't need any cash right now. No, we need so we're fully funded. Our insider ownership is about a third of the company, 32%. I'm personally the largest personal shareholder of the company with around 9 to 10%. So we're fully aligned, including myself, with all the shareholders, and we expect to keep it that way. And that essentially tells the story in terms of what I wanted to give you an update. Just as a summary, I wanted to let everybody know that over the next little while, we're going to be focusing on our midstream recycling. Again, that's going to provide some news over the next few weeks and months. Once we process our 20 to 30,000 gallons within the client, we'll hopefully sign that definitive agreement and start the build out of the commercial plant, which is essentially retrofitting the same demo plant that's currently at the client site, and that should be done by early Q1 of next year. We're going to provide additional news on other clients that we're working with right now and signing some NDAs. And we're going to provide some news on the fire suppressant solution and what we're doing there with some of the other testing, as well as potential partnerships there. And we're also working on our lithium refinery business with other potential clients that we're hopeful that we can also start delivering some results, not short term, but more medium term over the next, I would say, 6 months to 12 months plus. But definitely if you start building those clients, and I would say that potential revenue portfolio in the back end, then you're going to start seeing results over the short, medium, and long term, which is what we want. And that's all I wanted to say today. And hopefully you have some questions, and I'm happy to answer anything that you need.
Perfect. Thank you, Carlos. Just a reminder for everyone that tuned in, and if you tuned in a little late, that we are accepting questions in the bottom right-hand side in the chat, so feel free to continue to ask. We did have some questions submitted via email, so I'll start with those before I address the chat questions. First question, how big is your Georgia-based plant? How many tons of annual production can it produce?
Our plant right now, as it stands, is 2,000 tons of lithium carbonate equivalent per year. That's what it is able to produce today. But again, that plant can only function well if we have enough feedstock that provides it, that is able to keep that fully, I would say, utilized. What we're trying to do with the three distinct businesses or feedstock businesses, diversified portfolio businesses, that we're hopefully able to provide enough feed not only to meet that 2,000 tons, but exceed it over the medium term, as well as one of the things that we're trying to do is build satellite processing plants at client site. So even though we have 2,000 tons of production capacity at the plant, we're building processing capacity at the client site as well. So this first client that we're currently working with, if things go well, which we believe they will, we'll have at least by Q1 of next year an additional 500 tons of capacity there. So not only do we have that capacity at the plant, but we also have capacity outside of the plant.
Thank you. And this individual has multiple questions, so I'll just go through them in order. First question: I've been following the company since the IPO in May. How far along is the first midstream commercial project in terms of finalizing a contract?
We're basically at the critical juncture where we've met the recovery that we said we we're going to do, and we met the impurity levels that we said we we're going to meet. So now we have a product that meets all the requirements from the client, and now we need to produce 20 to 30,000 gallons to them that meet those requirements, which that can be produced in less than a week. That tells you a little bit something about how much that plant can produce. But once we do that, then we start looking at the definitive agreement, which, by the way, we already have a draft and everything. It's not like we haven't even thought about how the definitive agreement looks like. And then once we have that signed, then and by the way, we're already working on the commercial plant layout and how that's going to work. So it's not like we're going to wait until we do all this to move forward with a commercial plant. We already know that we're going to meet all those standards. So hopefully we'll get to that soon.
Thank you. And follow-up question: how large is the midstream market in the U.S.? And maybe I'll just follow up on that. Are you solely going to be focused on U.S.? Do you ever have plans of expanding internationally?
That question is a bit difficult to answer because of the fact that there are multiple industrial and chemical companies that we don't really understand how efficient they are. What we can see, it is around 5,000 tons within the North American only market. We're now working with a client that does have offices in the US, but it's a European company. So, Europe could add another, I would say, couple thousand tons potentially. So I would say the market right now that we can see, that we have, I would say, numbers on that we can credibly defend would be anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 tons. But just to give you an understanding of the economics, this first client that we're working with, and this is just 500 tons of lithium carbonate equivalent potential, we can make approximately at full run rate, depending on lithium pricing, right? Because lithium pricing changes, quarterly in terms of contract basis. We could make anywhere between 7 to 10 million of EBITDA US on 500 tons. Now, that's not an extrapolation to all the 5,000 tons because each client is different in terms of cost of capital, operating expenses, and so forth. But even if you take a very conservative view of for every 1,000 tons, it's about 10 million of EBITDA, you get a sense of how large the market is, not only on a volume basis, but also on a potential for EBITDA/revenue basis. So it is a significant market for us. And it's a market that we believe we can capture quite easily. It's not competitive in terms of nobody's really focusing on that. A lot of the companies that work on the direct lithium extraction and or processing are focused more on larger larger clients and larger projects around, 10, in the thousands of tons. And we believe that these projects can generate significant amount of returns and are going to need a lot less capital. So that's where we're working on.
Thank you. The next individual that wrote in is wondering if there's any coverage on the company from a research perspective.
Yeah, as of today, we have one research analyst, and that's Claris. That's the only we have for now. We are working with other banks at the moment, and hopefully we have more coverage. But as of today, we only have one research coverage, and Claris Securities is the one that provides that.
Great. I'm going to rephrase this question a little bit, because if you've been paying attention to the news, you do know that lithium fires are rather common, and this fire suppressant solution has great potential. There's a demand for it. I'm just wondering, what's the competition like in the market right now? And are you rather first mover advantage on this?
Yeah, I mean, we don't see a lot of competition, period, in the market. The competition is water, which is not real competition. There are certain companies that say they have a product that can potentially put out lithium-ion battery fires, but not to the extent and not to the level that our product can. In fact, we don't believe that the results they post are necessarily correct in what they're trying to do. They haven't been verified like we're trying to verify them. So we believe that once we have all these tests, again, we still need to go through that third-party testing and verify our results that we've achieved at our site. But I think we have a pretty good first mover advantage here. And, we can potentially work in many different ways. So we see the market, we can cut the market in many ways. You have the residential market, you have the commercial market, and then you have the industrial market. And the residential market is essentially you going to Home Depot or Lowe's or any of these hardware companies and buying your fire suppressant solution there. This could be 5-10 gallon fire suppressant solution there, and then you can use that at home if you have a potential fire. And any, it could be a bike, it could be your lawnmower, it could be your scooter, or it could be your computer. And you can have that in the kitchen, you can have that in the garage, or so forth. But then you have the industrial and commercial side, where the sizes are enormous, right? So we're trying to work both on the private side, but also on the government side within the DOE, and with DOE's Department of Energy and Department of Transportation, the DOD in the US, where they're essentially today building an enormous, we call this charging station infrastructure within the US. And that is where whenever there's a battery charging is where the potential of fires is greater. So, if all goes well, we could potentially have our fire suppressant solution within that battery charging station network being built, and so forth. So the commercial side is enormous, and the industrial side could be where OEM / battery manufacturers have sprinkler systems that the solution goes out and puts out fires. So it is a very large, I would say, industry, still to be developed, still to be determined how we're going to play within the market and how we're going to address all those markets. But we are a small company. We are running many different fronts. We have many different products. So the most likely scenario for us would be to partner with a much larger company that can provide us that, I would say, faster entry into the market in a more holistic way.
Thank you, Carlos. I just want to piggyback off that about this fire suppressant market, and I'm rephrasing a little, but you said pretty much that it was a lack of verification from competitors. Is there like a gold standard organization that verifies this technology for retail investors looking at potential companies to invest in? Is there, like, how do we look at the people verifying such technology?
Well, that's a very good question. And there really isn't one. And this is why I say there really isn't one. I'm going to stop sharing so I can see a little bit
Mhm.
what I'm speaking with. But so when you buy a fire suppressant, you buy letters, like a letter A, B, C, and so forth. And there's about 5 different types of fire suppressant solutions that you can buy depending on the fire that you need, right? So if you're putting out a fire that is oil versus wood or whatever it is, you're gonna have to have a different type of fire suppressant for that. And there isn't one for lithium because lithium has a variety of these numbers. So we believe that it's going to take a while for any government institution to say, okay, this fire suppressant solution is going to it's going to work for lithium ion battery fires. So it might be letter L in the future.
Right. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, Carlos. I think we just lost you for a second there.
Oh, what
What I
happened?
heard was letter L, and then I don't know if it was
Yeah.
just me or the whole audience, but I lost you at letter L. You said it might
Yeah,
be
no,
letter.
I think it was me. I don't know what happened here. I just got disconnected for some reason, but I'm back. So yeah, so there isn't a standard for lithium-ion battery fires today that people can go look and say, okay, these are the 10 fire suppressant solutions that are in the market for lithium. And this is who's because there has to be a rating, and not only that, but it has to be verified by a third-party facility. For example, UL would be one, and others that have tested the product in different situations and verified that the product works. So that's why we're going through a third-party tester. But even after you do that, your fire suppressant solution has to be validated to which letter that fire suppressant unit works. And as of today, unfortunately, there isn't one for just lithium-ion batteries. There's one for different types of other of fires, and not necessarily for lithium-ion batteries. But we're working very hard, not only privately but also with the government officials, to hopefully speed that process through. And even if we get a category A/B for a fire suppressant solution, we can still work with that within the industry. And then as that verification and or government entities provide that, I would say, knowledge to the market so people can really see what's out there, then that's where we get recategorized into that solution as well.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We better get into the chat questions now, because we do have quite a few. So, first one by PT Harris. Is there ongoing research to further improve the LEP tech, and what can we expect in terms of that?
That's on the LEP, like the lithium extraction process. Did I understand correctly?
Yes.
If there's any further refinements to that,
Mhm.
is that the question?
Yeah, ongoing research.
Yeah, all the time. Pre-post filtration systems within our same LEP, our experts are working on always trying to be more efficient. So yeah, we're extracting lithium from solution, but there are many different types of solutions, right? This is the solution that we're now working with is a relatively clean solution. Nevertheless, it has certain impurities that we need to take out, and the client needs this to be a very, very, very clean lithium chloride solution. This is not a typical solution that a lot of people would deal with. So each client is going to be different. But as I alluded to, when you look at direct lithium extraction, this could be applied to many other different types of lithium bearing solutions, i.e., raw material bearing solutions for the mines within the US or even South America. Can we apply our technology into that? Yes, potentially. Have we done some testing? Yes. Are we doing tests? Yes. So we are developing a lot of these ongoing, I would say, testings on different types of solutions that will hopefully evolve into more, I would say, revenue potential for us, and also other revenue generation avenues that we're not even counting today. So, but there's definitely, we're trying to improve on every day there in terms of how we process lithium.
Great, appreciate that. And he has a follow-up question here in regards to the FCL demo plant. Just wondering about the potential revenue streams from it once it reaches commercial scale.
Yeah, I think I alluded to that earlier, but as it stands right now, the demo plant per se is 250 tons. Most likely what will happen, the way I envision is that the demo plant will be our production plant, and then we'll add capacity to that demo plant, which is currently at 250, to get to that 500 tons that the client needs on a full run rate basis. But when we look at a full run rate basis of 500 tons per annum, and we're fully operating for a year, we believe, and this is with pricing as of today, we believe that that plant can generate anywhere between $7 and $10 million of EBITDA per year on a full run rate basis after a year. That doesn't mean that's going to happen January 1st of next year, but after a year, that's what we can work for. So it's a significant amount of revenue for our first client. That same client has already told us that they want to expand and double their production over the next 12 months. In fact, they're already expanding their plant, but it takes longer for them to expand than for us. So we envision that once they expand, all we need to add is a couple more filters, a couple more tanks, and so forth. For us, it's easy to expand. So we're just waiting for them to tell us on that expansion. But the main that they're currently producing now, which is 500 tons, that can generate anywhere between $5 and $10 million.
Thank you. I'm going to just read Keith's question verbatim here. 5,000 gallons of recycled battery goo. You said you could also be in revenue for the late 2023, early 2024. What kind of volume per day / month, etc., do you need to break even on that?
I would say that we could be in revenue generation by early next year as well on the battery side, but not significant, not to a level that I would say it's going to be constant, that I can point my finger and say this is going to be something that's going to happen month in and month out. The reason being is our battery recycling business, has three types of, types of batteries. End-of-life battery, 1. Out-of-spec battery, 2. And then out-of-spec cathode material, 3. And those are 3 distinct types of processing opportunities there. Obviously, two of them are batteries that you have to dismantle and so forth, but the other one is more, I would say, easier. You don't have all the extra carcass that surrounds the battery that you need to take out, which is more expensive. I believe that once we get, and I always see this on a lithium carbon equivalent basis more than anything, because a lot of the battery recyclers look at it on a per ton basis of battery. And it just depends what type of battery you're getting, what size, and so forth. So I see it more on a lithium carbon equivalent basis. And I look at it on a 250 ton lithium carbon equivalent basis. Once we get there, we're going to start generating gross margins that are going to be in excess of our cost, because there is significant cost associated with automating and building and the people that need to operate this. So that would mean that we need to get to that level, and that level will be end of next year or mid to late next year, in my mind, to start generating revenues that have going to be margins. Let me put it that way.
Going back to the fire suppressant technology, Eric brings up an interesting point. He's wondering about the toxicity of the solution, any hazmat handling requirements, etc.
Zero. So this is a solution that you can touch with your hand, no issues whatsoever. So the toxicity comes from the battery itself, not from our solution that puts out the fire. So in fact, our solution minimizes the toxicity of the battery when it catches on fire because it stops it from spreading. So it is a benefit. And I can't say too much about this next level, but our fire suppressant solution comes out of our battery recycling business. So whatever goes into that solution comes out of the battery recycling. So this is a full circle. So very, environmentally friendly. Not only that, but we're not buying new chemical products within, the industry and so forth and putting the solution. And this is
There.
not only, so again, let me repeat myself. So once we extract some of these chemicals from the batteries or products from the batteries, that's where we build a fire suppressant solution. So it's a full circle, like our name has, and it's very environmentally friendly. So no environmental issues there in terms of our fire suppressant solution.
Thank you. Eric has a follow-up with multiple questions, and I'm just going to read it verbatim, and you can take it how you will. Professor Pohl at Purdue is developing electrolyte that incorporates fire retardation within the battery. If this becomes standard practice, what does this imply for the marketability of your solution? And it goes on, what specifically have you patented the use case or the solution chemistry?
Yeah, well, I mean, that is obviously better beneficial. I mean, there's always going to be different types of batteries, and batteries are going to evolve. They're going to get better. But for that product to get into the market, it's going to take quite a long time. You still have a significant amount of batteries today in the market that don't have that are still, I would say, in their infant stages of developing. And you're going to have different types of batteries, different types of category of batteries. I don't know how much that fire retardant capacity is going to cost within the battery and so forth. So some batteries will have it, some batteries will not have it. And you still have significant batteries coming from abroad that may not have that. For example, your computers, your phones, your batteries for your lawnmower or whatever that is. So there is significant use today. I agree that there has to be a reactive approach, which is ours, meaning the fire happened and you need to put it out, right? But there's also have to be a proactive approach to minimize fires, which is what this professor is trying to do, which I applaud, and that's very beneficial. But fires will always happen, even if for example, there's a crash, there's a puncture in the battery, fires can still happen at that point, and you need to put those fires out, and that's where a fire suppressant solution can still be effective.
Looks like there's a lot of interest in this tech. We got a couple more for this fire suppressant solution. David's asking, will you be installing a solvent extraction system to accentuate or work in unison with your FSS?
We're thinking about that. That's not necessarily something that we're currently working on, but there's a lot of avenues that we can enhance our product portfolio. So the short answer is yes, but we're still in development of our main fire suppressant solution.
And this could kind of going back to the verification process. Eric's wondering on his third part question, who are you working with for incorporating the technology into the fire suppressant industry standard?
You mean on the third-party validator?
I believe so, yeah. Or he says incorporating the technology into the industry.
Right now, we can't disclose that. Once we have all our work done, we're able to disclose that, and that's something that even the third-party validator does not provide. let us disclose. So suffice to say, these are I think there's 2 or 3 of them within the industry. So when we disclose it, we're happy to kind of provide all the information once we finish all our testing, which is where we are right now.
Thank you. We have one final question in the chat here from Daniel. What makes your business a relatively safe investment for current shareholders?
Well, I mean, let me start by saying that no investment is safe. So let's start from that point. I mean, obviously we're a startup company. We have some risks associated with all our products. However, in terms of the lithium processing space and lithium processing manufacturing space, there are very few companies that have a view to revenue and cash flow generation, and ours does have that. So, we intend to be in production early next year. That we're working hard to get there, and that provides you with a significant, I would say, base to have a bit more security with our company and with our cash flow management. I would say policies in terms of investments and so forth. So that provides you with more security, a much better investment. And once we start having that revenue, we believe and provide the verification that our products are working within a commercial environment, you're going to start seeing a lot more. In my view, you're going to start seeing a lot more potential business development opportunities pop up. So the first one is the most difficult one. Always, because it's the first. So you're going to hopefully we make a lot of mistakes there, not to repeat again. So when we get that second or Rev 2 coming in, it's a much easier development, implementation, and run of the production facility. And as you go into the third and many others, hopefully, then you're going to be a lot more efficient in terms of negotiating the contract, signing the contract, establishing the technology that's going to be there. You get them a lot better on it. So that's where we believe our company is a lot, I would say, safer, but or at least better positioned to succeed in the market. And we have we're diversified in terms of the portfolio of businesses. So we have the midstream recycling opportunity, we have the battery recycling opportunity, we have the lithium refinery opportunity. So if for some reason or another one of them is not going as well or is taking longer to develop, then we can potentially work on the other 2 and so forth. So that is something that is important to have on a diversification level. And it's not like they're very different. We still have the same people working on, the top technical people are working on all 3, because it's all lithium chemical solutions that we're working for. It's just different types of solutions. So, we always call ourselves the home of lithium science. We're focusing on lithium, and that's how we plan to continue forth. I don't want to say to anybody that this is a safe investment. Is it a safer investment than many other opportunities within the lithium industry? Yes, potentially it is, because of the fact that we're going to be in revenue, hopefully, and cash flow generation over the next quarter, or starting to be in the next quarter, and then building our business there and more diversified product line.
Carlos, you addressed many questions today. Thank you. Thank you, everyone that submitted questions. Created a great discussion here. And if you came in a little late, just a reminder that this is being recorded, so it will be available most likely today, but if not, definitely tomorrow. I'll leave it to you, Carlos, for any final last words, though.
Thank you very much, Kyle. So again, everybody, thank you very much for jumping on this call to hear a little bit about, Full Circle Lithium and a summary of what we're trying to do. I invite everybody to stay interested within it. We're going to have quite a bit of news releases coming forth over the next few months, and hopefully that will lead us to be even more successful. Again, thank you very much. And since today is October 31st, happy Halloween to everybody. Thank you.